welcome to a special episode of the Walk On Red Shirts. We got here Syvelle Newton, former South Carolina Gamecock great. I know people might think it's a little blasphemous that I have him on here, but if you've listened to everything, you do know that I did grow up a South Carolina fan. So, Syvelle, thanks for coming on. How we doing, man?
Man, listen, I appreciate you for having me on the show. Same thing, a lot of Clemson fans probably not excited to see a Gamecock, but I actually Woodrow Dantzler was my favorite college player along with Peter Ward. So, I loved Clemson for a while,
Yeah,
short period of time.
and we're going to get into that a little bit too. And just to let you know, it's the college football podcast. My co-host is Ohio State guy, which both of us can agree that we hate Ohio State. So at least we can bond on that. So let's jump right into it. So, what got you into football? Like, what made you love football so much growing up? Being from Bennettsville, South Carolina, correct?
Oh, whoa, whoa, Wallace, South Carolina, not from
Wallace. Oh,
Bennett.
excuse me,
Yeah,
excuse me.
yeah.
And I know that's fighting words. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Pretty much, man. We grew up. I grew up actually a huge baseball guy. My father, he had a baseball association. My mom she was real good in softball, and we grew a love for it. We didn't have much as far as resources, so we never really had a real ball. We only had like a couple of we go get a piece of wood out the woods, and we might have something, and we'll just play baseball, me and my brothers. And then if we played football, we had a 3 liter bottle filled with rocks. So you know we just was rough. So that was just the competitive side of us.
Yeah, and kids find a way, and pecans are big down in our neck of the woods. So I'm sure you probably use some pecans playing baseball. Maybe
Yeah,
maybe a broom handle, rake handle. I've been there.
I wasn't that
So
good to hit a pecan with a broom handle.
you'd probably been a major league baseball player had we been talking
Yeah.
that way, right? So baseball. So did you play baseball in high school? What was it like from the transition to baseball to football?
Yeah, I was pretty good. I was a pretty good pitcher. I could throw it with some of the best. But what happened was in baseball, I was pretty, already highly rated as a quarterback, and it seemed like every team we played, they would hit me or took a chance to throw the ball at me. So my coach just told me, he was like, "That's it, no more baseball."
Yeah, don't blame him. I don't blame. And I'm 100 mile per hour fastball. That's for the birds. I like to have chance to hit back.
Oh yeah,
So
all day.
you're a star at Marlboro County High School, correct?
Marlboro County High School, yes sir.
Yeah, and so you're a star player there. You're playing both sides of the ball. You played both sides in college. Some might say you were Travis Hunter before it was cool. But tell me about the recruitment process. So I think I read that you were offered by Clemson, Vanderbilt, and South Carolina. Was there more schools, or is that incorrect?
I mean, I pretty much was offered probably by every school there was in the
Yeah.
United States, but yeah, I was the number 5 quarterback in the nation, so I pretty much had to pick and choose where I wanted to go. Just a lot of schools probably backed off because I didn't really show them any interest in the recruiting process. I didn't know about the recruiting process. I didn't know what it was. My brother, when he went to Furman, and I got to see a little bit of his recruiting process. And Tamir Zimmerman, he would have probably the best receiver that would have been at Clemson, along with that big recruiting class that they had with him, Roscoe Crosby and Aries Curry.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, because Tamir, I mean, he was being able to watch him and him being such a big Clemson guy, that was my way to be able to go to a lot of the Clemson games because he was going to Clemson. But the recruiting process, it was crazy. I mean, I wanted to go to Auburn. I went on an unofficial visit with a couple of my teammates. Tommy Tuberville didn't know who I was, so I scratched that real quick. Then I wanted to go to USC, the other USC.
Yeah, the fake one, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, at that time in my years, they were the real one. But there, then UCLA and their whole coaching staff got fired. That next week, once I told them I was coming there, then I just ended up with Clemson, South Carolina, and Vanderbilt as my final three. Because the only reason why I gave Vanderbilt a chance because Coach Johnson left Furman. He recruited my brother, and I just kind of gave him a chance, but they had Cutler there, so I knew I
Yeah,
didn't have
Jay
a chance
Cutler.
to
Yeah.
play. Yeah, yeah, it was over with.
Yeah. You didn't play receiver. Now, were some schools recruiting you to play receiver? I know, like once you got out of college, it became, hey, is he going to be a receiver? Is he going to be a quarterback? Was it the same thing coming out of high school too?
No, I mean pretty much all the schools recruited me to play quarterback. Now USC they pretty much was trying to bring me in as an athlete, which I mean I understood why after the recruiting process, but I think what really happened with that is they was going to offer Chris Leak, which during my time I mean we was kind of like not we never got to play against each other, but he was the number 3 quarterback. I was number 5. I was like, well, y'all gonna bring him in, that quarterback. You could have brought me in too because I'm better than him. But he went on and won a national championship and I didn't.
Yeah. Well, he was with Florida. I mean, they had a pretty deep roster there, and people. I don't think people realize like how competitive the recruiting world is. I mean, all we see from a fan side is the report on Twitter. You see so and so committed here, so and so flipped here, but what they don't see is the communication with the coaches and the coaches going behind your back, offering somebody else. You
Mhm.
thinking you're the guy, and they pull the rug out from under you. It's not always the player flipping, and I think
Yeah,
people don't realize that from face value because, especially in today's day and age with NIL and transfer portal, everybody wants to be mad at the player, mad at the player. Man,
yeah,
it's not always the case. It's not always the case. I mean, Tuberville, there's a story that just came out where he was telling a guy to see you go to the door, and the guy ends up going to Alabama or whatever and playing him and beating him. And I mean, it's insane the world we live in right now, but college football is still one of the greatest things in the world. And
oh
and
yeah,
watching you and those teams, so you come into South Carolina, you play for Lou Holtz your first year, correct, or is it
first two
first 2 years?
years. Hmm.
Okay, so a coach and legend. So what role did he play in getting you to come there, and why South Carolina over the other two schools?
Well, I mean, I never really was going to Vanderbilt, like so. I
Yeah,
mean, we can go ahead and throw that out. It really came to the it really came down to Clemson and Carolina at the end of it. It was a lot of big recruits into it that year, with myself and Demetrius Summers being two of the highly recruited in the nation. So it was kind of like I'm gonna wait to see where he goes and kind of play off of his shoulders. And Coach Holtz, he was pretty much big on the whole like you can come in and play now. We'll give you a chance to come in and compete. I knew at that time. I mean, clipboard Jesus was at Clemson, and I mean, when I seen him on my recruiting on my visit, and I'm like, man, this Charlie Whitehurst, this guy's like 6'4". I'm like, I don't want no parts of him. So, but I mean, we ran Clemson's offense at Marlboro County High School. I'll never forget
oh,
those orange tapes that we had to watch of Woodrow, running the dart play and running all the read options that we installed at Marlboro County. Coach Dean Boyd did that. So, yeah, I wanted to go to Clemson, but I didn't want to compete against Charlie Whitehurst.
yeah. And who was it? Pinkney, not Pinkney. Who was the quarterback that you were replacing? I mean, and you and Blake Mitchell came in the same class, did you not?
Yeah, me and
South
Blake.
Carolina?
Yeah, it was crazy because Blake had already committed to South Carolina, which I didn't know too much about Blake or anything like that. I think once they signed him, they was like, they just signed the number 7 quarterback in the nation. I was like, okay, so like, but it was one of those things like Coach Stockdale. He did such a great job of recruiting me while he was at Clemson. And I literally was going to the news station. I went to the news station 100% that I was going to Clemson. And when I
Yeah.
got to the news station, I don't honestly still to this day it looked planned. I done said this story plenty of times that it looked planned as if like I had this big plan to throw and disrespect the Clemson hat. But actually I just really took it off and put the Carolina hat on.
Wow. And we talked a little bit before this. Sometimes God's got another plan. Maybe your hands were just led a little bit right there. And your career at South Carolina was amazing, and you were at a time in which you're entering the golden years of South Carolina football,
Mhm.
with Coach Spurrier. So tell me what that transition was like. Coming from Lou Holtz to see Spurrier, and you kind of see the writing on the wall. and it was shortly after the brawl, if I remember correctly. Or was that
Yeah,
before?
I was a starting quarterback. I was a starting
What's
quarterback.
up? What?
I just got finished. I have a podcast too. It's called As I Sip My Coffee, and pretty much I just got back from interviewing Coach Holtz down in Orlando, Florida, and we were talking about the brawl. And I was a quarterback then, and then when Coach Spurrier came in right after Coach Holtz retired. I really wanted to leave Carolina. I wanted to leave. Coach Spurrier told me I could transfer anywhere, that I wanted to. He told me I wasn't gonna play quarterback. So it was kind of one of those things. I'm like, how you gonna tell me I'm not gonna play quarterback? Who's gonna start Blake?
Yeah,
But but me and Blake had that conversation too. But I felt at that time like I didn't understand why they were moving me to receiver. I didn't ask to move to receiver. I mean, I really didn't like playing receiver at all, but I did it, and I really, like I said, if these times in the days of football to way I would have been able to transfer, didn't have to sit out, probably been able to transfer, go get an NIL deal. I know for a fact I would have left.
we would have seen a Hayes Fawcett graphic of Syvelle Newton going somewhere else.
Oh
Where's
yeah,
home?
I
Where's
would have
next?
been gone. Yeah, I definitely would have left. But it was an experience to be able to play for Coach Spurrier. I felt like once I played, got a chance to play for him. I really truly that those 2 years was when I really learned football and not just playing football. I learned a lot of the X and O's, how to read coverages without thinking it was a total different experience, but I enjoyed playing for both.
Yeah. And I remember when I think of you, I think of, and I told you before we started this episode, so just to let everybody else know, so I can at least be a little public, and I don't want to be a closet Syvelle Newton fan. I grew up a big South Carolina fan, and Syvelle Newton was one of the players I played as. I'd come home early. I had to walk home from school, and no one else would be home. That wouldn't work in today's day and age. But elementary school, walk home from school, and I'd go in the backyard, and I was Syvelle Newton. I'd throw the ball up in the air, and I'd run up under it, and then I was Sidney Rice catching it. And when I think of you, I think of 2004. I think it was 2004 against Kentucky. In the game, I was at that game, and I just remember sitting in the end zone on the home side, just watching you and Sidney Rice put on a clinic in that game. I remember you were running all over the place, throwing the ball over the place. I was also at the Arkansas game, but we don't have to talk about that one. I think Darren McFadden just scored another touchdown on that one. He ran up and down the field, but tell me about some of those experiences in playing with a guy like Sidney Rice. Another South Carolina great high school and University of South Carolina.
Sydney, I mean, to me, I would say it's probably. I mean, I've just said it on Twitter that Sidney Rice is the best receiver probably played at South Carolina. I mean, he doesn't get the same respect as a lot of the other guys. You really don't hear a whole lot of talk about Sydney, but Sydney definitely was the best receiver. In my opinion, that played at Carolina. Maybe not just because of his speed, maybe not because of his route running, but what he did on the field in his 2 years of playing. I mean, it outnumbers what a lot of the receivers did in 3, 4 years. I mean, you go compare his stats to, um, you know, the others like Sterling Sharp, Alshon Jeffries. You got to give those guys their respect. But Sydney, I mean, he did what they did in 2 years. I mean, but his jersey should have been retired too if they're just going to retire those two guys' jerseys.
Absolutely, absolutely, and like the things he could do. I mean, essentially, if the ball was up in the air, it was his. He was going to
Yeah.
win.
Oh
And,
yeah.
and fun
Oh yeah.
fact about Sidney Rice, I didn't like him at first because my high school went to the state championship, and I was at the game, and his team, Gaffney beat Sumter in the
Gotcha.
in the
Yeah.
uh, in the state championship at Williams-Brice Stadium. So I got to watch him dominate us there, and then he got to come and play for the team I liked. So that was nice. I forgave him a little bit watching him score. So you also teammates with the guy Kenny McKinley, another great receiver, more of a
Yeah.
possession guy, hard nosed dude. Rest in peace. Just a tragic story with him. But what kind of teammate was he? I mean, because both those guys seemed very humble, very quiet, just put their nose down and work.
Kenny was he was the what you would call the staple of a great teammate. Not just saying that because of the events that took place. But Kenny would always smile. He was always, the laughter in the room. Um, he was just one of those guys that, I mean, he wanted to play. He came in from a high school in Georgia. He was a quarterback too, but they made him a receiver, and he pretty much was undersized, but he played big, and he ended up having a great career and ended up going to the NFL. And then things took place like they took
Yeah,
place, but yeah, he was definitely one of those guys that I could say that I truly valued as a friend and as a teammate.
yeah. Now, is on the trick play. I think this was also against Kentucky. Did he throw
Yeah,
the touchdown pass to you, or was that to Sydney?
no, he threw it to me. I was
That's
at
what I thought.
quarterback. Yeah, I was at quarterback. We sent Mo Brown in motion. He was out wide, and pretty much I handed the ball off to Corey Boyd. Corey Boyd flipped it to I don't know how, still don't know. It was such a slow developing play, but but Kenny got it. We I promise you we didn't practice like that. We didn't
Yeah,
practice it like that. But he just threw it up to me. I mean, at that point I just saw the ball and I caught it. But
yeah.
that was still one of probably the longest developing trick play, but it definitely worked.
Hey, as long as it ends in a touchdown, they don't care. They don't care how it looks. Now, all right. How big is Jamon Meredith?
Jamon Metter, he was a tight end, man.
Who is the massive? I thought it was Meredith. 77. I think he
That's you
was their
talking about
son.
Jabbar Levy. That was
Yes.
Jabbar Levy out of yeah, he came in out of Berkeley High School, and he was so huge. I mean, you talking about 7 footer looking like a 7 footer standing in front of you at tackle, and a lot of times I promise you when my sophomore year when I got a chance to play quarterback, probably 8 out of 10 throws, I probably didn't know who I was throwing to, where I was throwing to, because I couldn't see nobody over the tackles we had. But the average lineman was 6'5" or better, and I'm like, man, Jesus Christ, I can't see nothing. And
That's pretty cool.
half the time I didn't know the play anyway, because I mean, I didn't know what the world skip and Coach Holtz had going on that year, but
Uh,
we ain't know none of the plays. We was just playing football.
Full disclosure, could you understand Lou Holtz when he was talking?
You can understand him. I mean, like I said, I just interviewed him,
Yeah,
a couple of weeks ago. He still sounds sharp as a nail. I mean, his memory is still great. We went out to dinner the night before, and then we came into his house the next day, and I mean, still got good jokes, still got some corny jokes, but you can definitely understand everything he says.
that's right. I read his book. He seems like a phenomenal person. I mean, it just thinks how it all played out at the end of the South Carolina career. But then, like I said, it ended up being great too with Spurrier coming in and into the
Yeah,
golden years. So I would say like your team set the foundation for him to be able to build those recruiting classes to get the Lattimores, to get the another guy who silently committed to Clemson. That happens a lot more often than you think. Mike Williams, the guy that I played with, was going into to announce his, and reverse of you, he was going to announce to Carolina, and then I guess he said he has no idea why. He just ended up saying Clemson. He's like, well, I guess I've said it now. I might as well go.
you gotta go
And
with
yeah,
it.
ends up being great. I mean, and he goes. If he had gone to Carolina, he plays with the Ace Sanders. He plays with the. I think Debo was there at the time. I
No,
mean, he would have had a.
Debo wasn't there. I don't think so at
He was
that
a little
time.
later. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right. He was a little later, but that happens a lot more often than people think, and it's pretty cool. The rivalry is just impeccable, and it's awesome, and it's awesome how many guys were on my team that were big South Carolina fans, and probably vice versa with you. And you just go where you can get a scholarship, or you go where you get an
yeah,
opportunity, right?
yeah. I don't get caught. I never got caught up in the rivalry. I done caught a lot of flack, from that over the years. I mean, you play against a lot of these guys in high school. It's two in-state great schools. I mean, you see a lot of your friends playing there at Clemson, and
Yeah,
it's like what are we fighting, having a fan fight or something like that? But it's not like a lot of the players, especially the home state players, really too much bought into the whole rivalry as much, but it was definitely, a good game that we look forward to be able to play against a lot of our players. It wasn't no different than a North South game or Shrine Bowl game,
Yeah,
but you just play against players that you played against in high school, and you just have fun, man. I mean,
yeah,
the fans make it more than what it is, but
I
we
agree.
gotta let them have them. They gotta play something, so you gotta let them have it.
That's right. And you kind of feed off that tension. But I will say, my senior year, we were undefeated, playing South Carolina in South Carolina, hostile environment because of the fans. We're up big. South Carolina comes back, makes it a game. We end up winning, I think, by 10 points. But after the game, kid you not, South Carolina players would come up to us saying, "Hey, I hope y'all win it all." And I don't think people, I mean, again, a fan is not going to say
Yeah,
that. A South Carolina
yeah,
fan would never say that. But you got guys that you just bled and sweat with on the football field who come up to you, bitter rivals, and say, "Hey, I hope you go win it all." And that really resonated with me, and says, "Okay, yeah, it is more outside than it is inside." These the hate in the state. So you talk opportunities. You leave South Carolina.
mm.
Uh, the NFL doesn't quite work out. You play some arena football, some Canadian football. What was that transition like?
Well, I mean, it didn't work out because I got hurt. A lot of times people ask like, "Hey, man, why you didn't get a shot in the NFL?" I mean, I went to the combine once I got to the NFL combine, and I was doing rehab. I actually got hurt the Clemson game.
Hmm.
My and I'll never forget it. Jacoby Ford, he cut back across the field, and I mean, I don't know why I was even trying to chase after him, but I was at safety that game, and then my cleat got stuck in the ground, and I pretty much heard a pop down in my near my pelvic area. So I didn't find out until I went to the NFL Combine that I had a hairline fracture straight down the middle of my pelvic bone. So that really, took me out. I mean, a lot of times people
Yeah,
they laugh. They be like, "Hey man, you ran a 4.7 or 4." I'm like, I was a 4.4 guy.
yeah, you ran that on one leg.
Any every day, up until I got hurt, and probably after the training, I probably would have been a 4.3 guy. But it was a big transition. Then I end up deciding after I got a little healthy to go to Montreal. They brought me in on a quarterback contract. Told me they wasn't gonna change my position. Soon as I get there, 3 days into camp, they changed my position. And crazy part of it during that time, um, I was in front of oh my god, I can't get his name out. He's the offensive coordinator for the Commanders right now.
Cliff Kingsbury.
Cliff Kingsbury, he was there too, but he was behind me. And I think they had made a couple of promises to him. So they moved me to receiver, and I asked them to, send me home.
Yeah, it's
And
kind of
then
those
I,
situations where it's like it's kind of stinks that you're such a good athlete because they're like, man, we can use this guy in two places. Why not take this quarterback who's good at quarterback and
yeah,
this quarterback who's good at quarterback, and move
they
him
could have
over?
used me, but the taking the salary down part was not the part that I agreed with.
Yeah,
But yeah, so I left there, went to Georgia Forest, played there. The league folded. Then I came back into the Arena League. Never really got a chance to, even though I excelled in the Arena League. Never got a chance to cross back over into it because of the whole contract issues with the CFL and they own my rights type stuff. So I think a lot of teams didn't want to kind of deal with that, with which I think pretty much took me out of ever reaching into the NFL.
and again, you go to the CFL and the contracts that you're talking about. I don't know if people realize this. The CFL drafts players all the time and own their rights. That don't even end up ever playing in the CFL. A lot of guys that go to the NFL, a CFL team will draft them just in case
Hmm.
they do something happens. They go
Yeah,
so
yeah.
just like it's similar to baseball in which I find very intriguing. But and between me and you can be honest. I can cut this part if we need to. Montreal kind of stinks, right? Like it smells bad.
No, when I went there, actually, I didn't really get to, like I said, I wasn't there that long to experience the city as much. But my one time that I did get to go into the city, I mean, at that time, I was like, wow, I was kind of wowed by it.
It's
It was
insane. Yeah,
it was a little different, but I mean, it was definitely beautiful though.
it's a little bit bigger than Wallace, I think.
everything's. I mean, Wallace is one of them places that you go through. You go through. You on the highway. It just cuts right through it. One light going in, one light going out.
That's
That's
right.
it.
It's always green. Man, it never
Yeah.
changes. Did you try the poutine while you were there?
The who?
The poutine while you were in Montreal, the cheese curds on the fries and the gravy.
Yeah, I tried McDonald's.
Oh no! So yeah, see, you got to go back, and
Yeah,
you got so. Trust me, I'm from the South. This worked out for me too. It's French fries.
yeah,
I didn't think the Europeans could do this, but they did. It's French fries with cheese curds and gravy, brown gravy all over it.
yeah.
I
I
didn't think
probably,
you
I
could make
probably,
French.
I probably
I
wouldn't
wouldn't
eat
like it.
that. No,
What? Oh my
no.
gosh! I played offensive line, so I guess that's probably why I liked it so much. You put
Yeah,
gravy on anything as offensive lineman, it's
y'all
going to
eat
work out.
anything, man.
That's right. Yeah, I played tight end at Sumter, and then they found out at Clemson I'm a lot better at eating than I am at running, so they shifted me over real quick. But man, that's pretty cool. So then you leave and you come back to the state, and now you're the head coach at Great Falls, South Carolina. Excuse me, Great Falls High School.
Mhm.
Where is that school? I know it's
It's
got an
it's
803 area
it's
code.
it's in Chester, Chester
Chester.
County.
Okay.
Yeah, it's right there by Louisville and Chester. In Fair, it's kind of right there at the Fairfield County
Okay.
state line. I mean county line. But it's super small school, probably one of the smallest 1A schools in the state. But those kids there, they're not even pretty much understanding like the opportunities they have to be able to play sports and to be able to have someone like myself that's dedicated to that area to be able to coach there. Kids these days are not the same as
Oh
we
yeah.
were. Like nobody was going in the backyard throwing.
Uh oh.
um I'm very excited about being able to help those guys learn about life and also be able to learn the game of football.
Yeah, and that's awesome, and that's great to give back, especially when you have that plethora of knowledge. And I think sometimes it's hard as a former player. You've been a football player your whole life,
Yeah,
and you lose that opportunity to play. So it happens to everybody at some point,
yeah,
and then you're like, "What do I do now?" And
yep,
some people's natural instinct is to go back to coaching, and that's a great instinct because you can give back
yeah,
what you've learned, what like your experiences. Like I had some interesting recruiting stories that I could help some of the players, that are a hell of a lot better than I was, uh,
yeah,
navigate this recruiting stuff. These coaches want to sell you the flashing lights and the stars, and it's like, man, they don't care about you. They care about what you
yeah.
can
You're
do for
right.
them. Find the coach that cares about you, and find out what fits you the best. And and it's going to work out. So you're at Great Falls High School. This is your second year, correct?
Going into my second year, yes, it is.
How we looking? How we looking? When's the jamboree and how we looking?
Man, you would be amazed, man. I've still to this day, last year we didn't really get to have a spring because we didn't have equipment. The equipment needed the helmets was off in recondition, and we didn't get those to after the spring, and we didn't get many of them back. So this year, similar situation. We didn't have helmets. We didn't get to go through the spring all summer. Pretty much half 80% of my team has been in summer school all pretty much this whole summer.
Yeah.
They are just getting out of summer school, so we're just being able to install offense and
Wow.
defense. So, like I said, it's totally different from, being at a Sumter High School where you're gonna have 80 kids show up every day. Here, you'll be happy if varsity guys if you got 10 kids show up. So,
Wow.
like I said, it's totally different style of football. I mean, we've had more middle school kids show up for weight room this summer than our varsity kids. So it's a test, but
Yeah.
I'm there for bigger reasons other than just football.
Absolutely, man. That's awesome, and good for you for not having your ego get in the way and allow you to do something. Is there a place that our listeners can donate and help out? I don't want you to get you in a Teddy Bridgewater situation, which is absurd. But I don't. Is
I wouldn't be surprised if I'm not, but but yeah, it's we have a great AD. Um, if they want to, we have a touchdown club that I work very close with those guys. We just if you want to, they can get in contact with me directly on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever they want to, and I could pretty much set it up to where things are kind of transition. Last year we had a couple of I had more people from Clemson help me last year than any of the South Carolina my teammates or anything like that. So Javon Kinlaw was one of the guys who stepped in and
That's
helped
awesome.
out, but not too many guys helped out like that.
Hey, get competitive. Get competitive, guys. Hey, South Carolina people, Clemson's out here whooping you and helping them out. You better go help your former teammate
Telling,
out.
listen, I'm telling you, I just went out on the lake. Well, not on the lake. I don't do water, but it was a place out on the lake, and I mean, it was Clemson territory. I might have seen two people there, maybe. I was there with a guy that played at Clemson, and he brought me out to the lake, and we was out at this restaurant out there, and I'm just like, these Clemson fans are crazy, man. They crazy, but they love the Tigers, and
They love them when they're winning. I tell you
yeah.
that
But
much.
I mean, I'm one of those. Like I tell them, I'm one of those people that I'm big.
Losing you a bit.
I never been caught up into the Clemson stuff, like I said, or the rivalry. So
I think I'm losing you a little bit. It might be on me. Let me check. Make sure my internet's good.
we're good.
Yep, we're back. We're back. Okay. So, and what sparked all this? So, and just to know, I don't bet either. But this was a conversation. So Syvelle Newton gets on Twitter, and I just happened to be scrolling, and I see, and he goes, "Clemson's going 8-4 this year." And I
Yeah,
was like,
for sure.
I'm feeling confident. Let me talk back to this guy, and I said, "Hey, PD guy to PD guy, let's make a bet."
Yeah,
So sparked the conversation. And again, I'm remove. I don't have any bias.
yeah.
Anybody listening has no idea who I'm going to side more on this in this conversation. No bias. But in all seriousness, you seem like you're 10 toes down on this tape, and
Yeah.
I want to hear because you're a football guy. You know football. You don't get caught up in the rivalry. What is your reasoning behind the 8-4 take? And yeah, let's talk through that. I want to talk through this a little bit.
Well, I mean, when you look at the schedule, I just don't like the schedule, like the placement of the teams. Yes, the ACC. We know that the ACC. We can call it weak or whatever you want to call it because it's been like on the down parts of the strength of schedule over the past couple of years. But
Not having a Florida State, be the other side of it, it has been hurting the ACC strength of
yeah,
schedule. Absolutely,
yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah, but then when you, like I say, you look at these schools and you look at everything these schools have done as far as like recruiting and getting into the transfer portal, the transfers that they're bringing in. The I think what fans don't realize a lot that what's going on when it comes to Dabo. I mean, I think Dabo is a great coach. I mean, you got to respect him for the things that he has done. Um, but when you don't get those portal guys, you set your team back. I mean, because you got to think these guys are coming from App State. They're taking the best two players from App State. They're taking the best two players from Marshall, Middle Tennessee State,
Yeah,
all these different schools. I mean that
it seems like
they're
G5 has become JUCO, right?
yeah, 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 for sure.
Yeah,
And you're getting guys from Cincinnati and all these different schools, and they're coming into, I hate to say it, they're coming into the ACC because a lot of these schools have the NIL money to compete with a lot
yeah.
of the SEC schools. I mean, but when you look at the actual list. I'm a guy that I go and I look at the recruiting list, and I'm looking at Georgia Tech brought in a whole new team. I mean, North Carolina with Bill Belichick now. I mean, not just having Belichick, they just brought in a whole new team
Yeah.
of transfer portal, and so did Syracuse, and so did Pittsburgh, and so did Boston College and Clemson. Nothing. And you got to think about it that way simply because, I mean, right now you're basing everything off of having one quarterback. He's proven over the years, over his his time, that he can get hurt here and there, and he have to sit a possession out, which it's just different things that I kind of came up to it when I made that prediction. And I'm looking at the schedule. I'm saying, okay, first 3 games you got LSU. That's your first loss. In your then you got Georgia Tech and all these schools. So I'm looking like, okay, every 3 games, you got 12 games now. So every 3 games, I'm looking and saying like, one of these schools are going to pop Clemson every 3 games.
And they could.
And
And you talk LSU, and you talk Georgia Tech. Right? Syracuse is no joke either with what Fran Brown's doing over there.
yeah,
You get the off week, you go to UNC. No one knows what UNC is going to be this year.
no,
Entire new regime, entire new roster.
yeah,
Boston College, they seem to be a little weak, but I don't think people realize it's tough to go up to Boston College and play, especially early
it,
October. It's a little
there you
colder up
go.
there.
It's a
It's
little
not going to feel
colder.
good,
And
And
Bill O'Brien isn't a slouch as a coach. I mean, I'm
no,
pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that he's going to have those. He brought in a lot of guys to play too. So let's
yeah.
keep that in mind.
And we got a lot of guys from Florida and Texas. They're not used to playing up in Massachusetts, so I can follow you. You got SMU, they come to town, and then you get into the revenge tour. You got Duke, you got Florida State, you got Louisville, Furman, and then South Carolina. All these teams besides Furman who beat us recently, not Florida State last year, but the year prior, beat us in overtime. So you're right. The schedule is tough. I would argue that out of all years to not have to use the transfer portal, this would have been the one why they didn't have to, because Clemson has one of the oldest rosters in the country, and what they've been able to retain 59 returning seniors, which I don't think you see that very often in college football.
Mhm.
Depth at offensive line. So
Mhm.
Clemson has the second most returning starts at the offensive line position, which is insane. You've got guys who could start other places who came back. And then if Cade Klubnik gets hurt, God willing he doesn't, you got Chris Vizina, who's been there for 2 years. I think this is be his third. So you'd hope he's been with Garrett Riley long enough, the offense coordinator, to learn the system. But you're right. This is not, like you said, everybody looks at the ACC and they want to poke at it. But Duke and Manny Diaz and what they got with Darian Mensah out of
Yeah,
Tulane, that's
yeah.
not a team to joke around about. Florida State, you don't know what Florida State's going to
You
do
don't
because they
know
just got
what you don't know what Florida State's going to bring. You don't know what Brown is going to do at Louisville, which
right.
popped you last year.
Yeah.
They lost their quarterback, but I actually got to go up there and watch those guys play in person in Louisville because I follow close with Quincy Riley. A guy I followed, so I went up to watch him play. They're going to be good. Pittsburgh is returning. They're returning a lot of guys. Their running backs
Desmond
back.
Reed, the running back, is one
Desmond
of the
Reed's
best.
back, and like I said, you guys do have the senior the experience is there as far as having the senior roster. But like I said, these transfer guys, these guys are, I mean, I'm
And they're
telling you,
hungry.
they're
They're
hungry.
hungry.
Like, just
I
like at
agree.
Carolina, we picked up Brandon Cisse from North Carolina State,
That's a
and
dude.
yeah, and he's from something. But
Yes, he
you
is.
look at all these guys, they're coming in from these schools to go play and start. And it's like every
Yeah.
3 games, when you look at the schedule, every freaking 3 games, you guys have 2 teams out of the 3 that can pop you. SMU is going to be one of those teams that if you're not if Klubnik's not on that night, they're gonna put the points up.
Yeah,
And,
and
and
that's been my biggest issue with him. Sorry to cut you off. My
yeah,
biggest issue with Klubnik, and I think what you're about to allude to, is you get the up and down. And you watch the South Carolina game in the first half, he makes some really good throws, and then he goes quiet. and then
Right.
makes some really good throws, and he goes quiet. And then
Can't do
you
that.
get
You
SMU.
cannot
Yeah.
do that this year. You cannot do
No.
that this year because, like you said, the Duke game is like you go play at Duke or Wake Forest or any of those schools. Those schools, the game is so drawn out and boring that you just like it's just like going
It
to
can
play.
lull you to sleep.
Yeah, you go to play at Vanderbilt. It's a sucker game because you're at Vanderbilt and it's like, oh my God, this is so boring. But that's why I feel like they beat Alabama or, they have you give those guys a chance, and everybody that's on you got scheduled this year has a chance. It's not
Oh,
it's no team that's on there that says we're going to blow you out other than Furman and what Troy.
well, Troy, you can't even mess around with Troy. I mean, they're one of the better G5 teams most years. I mean, it's like
Yeah,
again, we should,
you
but
can't.
you can't
You
even
can't.
sleep on them. They're similar to the App State. App State always plays giant killer. Troy is one of those teams too. I mean, they just in the past 10 years they beat LSU at home. So
Yeah.
one of the guys that came
And
was
you
it
got them
Martin?
early. You got them early. I mean, but
Yeah,
like you said, you got them early. New defensive coordinator. Nobody knows what the defense is going to look like as far as like the actual defense, if it's going to work for the group that's there. So that's the thing that you have to kind of put into play too, because I mean, getting a new defensive coordinator, you're doing things with players that's been there, so they might have fit the system that they were brought into, and it's a lot of factors of why I said 8-4.
yeah.
But like I said, also I would love to see. South Carolina versus Clemson, both teams probably with one or two losses, to see who gets to spoil the other from going to the playoff or something like that. But
I mean, look at last year. Last year, that's what happened until Syracuse comes out of nowhere and beats Miami. Right? Clemson has been eliminated from the playoffs by South Carolina the whole season. Like, you hate losing to your rival, but then you hate getting eliminated from the playoffs in the same game, and that's what happened. I love it when there's that kind of high stakes. I wrote an article on it, the history of the Palmetto Bowl. My in-laws are from Vermont. They don't know anything about football down here. I have to teach them. All they do is wrestle mooses and tap maple trees and collect maple syrup. So I had to teach them a little bit. It's all about hockey up there. Um, so and then just to go back a little bit too to the transfer portal in Florida State, Gene Chizik and Tommy Castellanos. I mean, that's like a match made in heaven with what Gene Chizik likes to, or excuse me, Gus Malzahn, not Gene Chizik, likes to do with his offenses. And then you got Tommy Castellanos, all the athleticism in the world. But what's Florida State going to do? So I mean, where you say tough, I also see there's gaps too. You got to hope that Clemson can get through there. I put this, obviously I'm biased. I put the floor closer to a 10-2. 8-4 is realistic. I mean, if Cade Klubnik comes out there and throws a dud, and the defense plays like it did last year and gives up 300 yards to the freaking Citadel again on rushing the ball, you're going to have trouble. You're going to find out a lot about who Clemson is week one against LSU. First time alcohol sales in Death Valley, so it might be a little bit rowdier than normal. But it's going to be a fun season, and I can't freaking wait for it to start. I can't wait. Regardless, I can't wait to see y'all kick off against Virginia Tech. Can't wait to see us kick off against LSU, and I'm just ready to. I
I
already told
mean,
my wife it's going to be a family day on the couch, watching game day. We're watching all of it. I'm not moving.
we gonna have to see. I mean, it's gonna be a lot of answers answered that day, as far as like how's the backfield going to be this year.
Yeah,
Spiller, does he have those guys ready to replace somebody like Maffa, and who's going to step up in the receiving core? I mean, you got those guys there, but I mean, like you said, the up and down play,
yeah,
how they're going to contribute, who's going to be alongside with Williams. I keep up with Clemson. I mean, I follow them close too because, like I said, I want to see both schools excel. So, I'm saying the floor is 8-4.
yeah,
Klubnik plays, if he plays as much as Holly he's rated. I could see 10 and I could see the 10-2 being very good thing. But the two losses definitely I could peg that I could say would be LSU and Carolina, but that game is also a toss up. But the LSU game is the one loss, and that's why I'm saying every 3 games there will be a loss. I don't know who is going to come from, but that's just my opinion, and we all have opinions, but
I,
definitely is my football knowledge of why I said that. Not trolling the school,
yeah.
just really seeing 8-4.
Syvelle, how about this? November 25th.
Mhm.
Let's get you back on the show and we'll talk where we're at, where South Carolina's at, and we'll do a nice little episode to lead up into that game. How's that sound?
That sounds great. I'll be ready for it, man.
Hey, well, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you. Where can we follow you on Twitter and on social media?
This everything's my name. I keep it simple, Syvelle Newton. If you are into fitness or anything like that, if you want to come by my gym, check it out. I own a gym. It's called BU for You Trim Fit, and I also own a mental health business called BU for You Love Yourself, where pretty much we get into the community with our mission, teaching people to make a decision and a commitment to be great and beautiful each and every day. So that's what I do normally in my daily life. So if you want to find me, just Syvelle Newton. I'm normal.
That's awesome. And then you got a podcast, Sip of Coffee, right?
As I sip my yeah, as
As
I
I sip
sip
my
my
coffee.
coffee. Yeah, that's with the 1801 Media, with the Garnet Trust. It's been doing well. I've had some great people on, and we'll have Lou Holtz on next. So
That's
this is a good
awesome.
show.
Well, Syvelle, it's nice to meet you, and I'll see y'all later.
Thank you, man.